We're here with Coach Frye ahead of the Orange and Purple Elite that is this weekend out at Clemson, South Carolina. We're going to talk a little bit about the team, what we're expecting this year. But Coach, what are you just excited about with track? A big year here in 2020.
Now, every meet is a rehearsal for the SEC and the NC2A. So we're excited about our kids getting their first time to take a test. And this is a test this semester, preparing them for a more difficult test each week and then the final exam. So we try to keep things on a progressive idea. We've made our schedule such that it gets more difficult as they go. But this meet seems to have a little bit more difficulty to it early. Florida State being ranked number 1 in the country, our kids read. Try not to read stuff, but to have those kind of teams there. Florida, our top 5 team that's there, and then we're one of the top 2 teams in the women's that are there. Those are different things you have to have. Try to be competitive versus the better teams, and then try to move your ranking where the guys are number 31 in the country. You want to, after this meet, be in that environment, and hopefully you have some good performances, and that next week your ranking is better. And the women being there to try to look like they deserve to have the consideration that coaches and things have for them. Be honest and true, and not off in last year's reputation. Losing waddling and stuff like that probably hurts. I don't know if the ranking came out prior to or after she announced, but just to know that it's excitement for me and for them, challenges.
Yeah, I know with this meet, you talked about some of the teams that are going to be there. Obviously, from the outside world, everyone kind of looks at track as you have to focus on yourself. But how do you kind of tell the kids that are going to go out there against some top teams and say, hey, go out and put out some good times this week?
I don't know if preparation, just live up to the preparation. Our kids came back, I would say, a little bit fitter than some groups in the past have. You take an 18-day break from the time of having your coaches, and then just have volunteer practice where they send you what they're doing, and you send them the workouts, and they did videos of themselves, and some came back early because they want to be on the indoors to practice. There's a little bit more of taking on responsibility, instead of going through it. So a lot of them got their high school coach to let them in the weight room, so they're a little bit better than some groups in the past that came out. Even they're young, and many times young groups, they follow direction a little bit because they're a little bit nervous about trying to make the travel squad to be able to go to the meet in New York, and to be able to go to the meets following that, and to be in that big meet at Clemson the second time whenever they got Texas A&M and they've got Oregon and those teams coming in to Clemson, and then we come back here and we've got Kansas State coming in here, and we've got Florida coming in. They want to be one of the persons we can count on, and and so they went home, and looks like our younger kids did a really fine job.
And talking about some of the young kids, and obviously we had that meet earlier last month that not everybody got to compete in, but now this weekend we'll have a lot more of those kids that maybe didn't get a chance to compete. What are you excited about with just getting those kids to kind of get their feet wet finally going here with the seasons getting going?
Well, we're trying. We're not running all their. We're running some kids in the 300 instead of 400. We're running some kids who ran the 300 the last time in the 200. So we're not trying to get them where they're getting a comparison of themselves of their main event. So we're doing some training things that they can get better in a certain portion of their event. We're taking hurdlers, and the hurdlers are running 300 meters, and they're all running mile relays and stuff. So it may not be an indication. It's more still we're in a phase where you got to be getting some work in, and this track meet is going to be one where a lot of our team has got to get work in. Because just having come back and work out from the 6th. They just showed up here on the 6th of January, and they're going to run on the 11th. Well, we got to be careful and not get injured by backing them off and are getting to the point where you don't have enough fitness. So we got to use the meet as a portion of their training. So we got to be careful about them getting too hyped and hyping it up like a conference finals. So it's put it in its right perspectives.
Yeah, and you talked about just kind of that mindset. You know, with the team that's ranked 8th with the women and 35th for the men. Do you think the athletes kind of take that as a confidence booster, or do they have a chip on their shoulder sometimes, or do you just kind of tell them don't worry about the rankings and focus on what you can do on the track?
I think just to have the women with a ranking that high still gives you some pride in that we are a contender, and for the guys to be that far out with a returning conference champion and a national scorer in the 400 meters and a mile relay that ran well, and with a junior college champion in the 60 hurdles and a 800 meter runner, I think they, as we explained to them, that you got to be better than your rankings. So, but don't get carried away. We are individuals that have influenced the rankings. So we give them a chance to say that I count. So, but to say that next week our rankings is going to change, I don't think that we're into that mindset of doing it. It's rankings change. It's hard to go through a whole season for somebody that's ranked number 1 to be number 1 at the end. To look at football coming up here on Monday and to see teams that were top teams in the country end up going completely undefeated all year. That's extraordinary to do, and that happens in that sport. But very few sports where you don't have a down weekend, and so we got to prevent from getting too high, because this is a long season. We will have some good performance. We had great performance leading last year early on, and they stayed there for about 2 weeks. But by the time we got to the conference, we had people who were leading the nation in the first 2 weeks, but they didn't make finals in the conference meet. And those are things. But then they came back and ran well at the national meet. So the ebb and flow of training, you got to keep people with the mentality of you're gonna have some days good and some bad. This one right here is just a test. It's not the final.
Sounds good, Coach. Well, good luck this weekend, and we'll be in touch.
Hey, be in touch. Thanks a lot. Go Gamecocks.